This is for Algebra 2. We're talking about solving radical equations. The first step when you're solving a radical equation is to get the radical by itself. You may have to add or subtract to move things to the other side of the equal sign. You're going to raise both sides to the root of the radical. If it's a square root, you're going to square it. If it's a cubed root, you're going to cube it. Remember that when you raise a radical to the power of its root, then the answer just becomes what's under the radical, but you no longer have a radical sign. The squared and the square root cancel each other out. And then you're going to solve for x. Inequalities work the same. The only thing is you have to remember that you flip the inequality symbol if you multiply or divide by a negative number. So looking at number 1, we have the square root of x plus 5 equals 0. You're going to start by moving that 5 and it becomes the square root of x is equal to negative 5. You're going to square both sides to get rid of the square root sign. These cancel each other out and leave you x is equal to negative 5 squared is 25. And that's your answer. Number 2, notice that it's the fourth root. It's already isolated. We're going to raise both sides to the fourth power. Your fourth root and your fourth power cancel each other out and leave you x minus 5 is equal to 2 to the fourth. Calculator, you would just do 2 rooftop 4 and you're going to get 16. Now you need to get x by itself, so we're going to add 5 and x is equal to 21. When you have a number on the outside, if you're squaring, you have to square it also. So everything over here is getting squared, and then this side is also squared. Well, x squared is x squared times the square root of x squared is x equals 4 squared is 16. So x squared times x actually becomes x to the third equals 16. Now you have to uncube it, which means you're taking the cubed root, or basically you're going to go rooftop open 1 divided by 3. So you would take your calculator and you would go 16 rooftop open 1 divided by 3, and you would get 2.51. Let's just look at number 4. It's not really an equation. It's just wanting you to understand. It's a chance for you to figure out what to do when it's the fourth root. 16 to the fourth root of it would be rooftop 1 divided by 4. If you do this in your calculator, 16 rooftop 1 divided by 4, and you're going to get 2. You're going to divide the exponents. So for x, it's going to be 12 divided by 4 is 3, so it becomes x to the third. For y, it's 5 divided by 4. Okay, you got to think about elementary division. 5 divided by 4, it goes into it one time with 1 left over. So you're going to have 1 out and 1 in. This is your answer. That's kind of confusing. I'm going to clear this off and I'm going to just make up a problem. Just dealing with variables, okay? If you want to put it on the back of your notes or wherever, or just watch. If you have the fifth root of x to the 8th y squared, 8 divided by 5 is 1 with a remainder of 3. So you're going to have x to the first on the outside, fifth root of x to the third on the inside. 2 divided by 5, it won't go in it. So nothing comes out as far as the y, and your y squared just stays inside. It's a little tricky. You just got to kind of take your time with that. Okay, square root of x is greater than 7. It's just like an equation, except it is greater than or less than. You're going to square both sides, and you get x is greater than 49. You're going to need to move your 6, so the square root of a is greater than or equal to 8. You're going to need to square both sides. A is greater than or equal to 64. Moving to the back. Number 7, you want to start by moving that 5 3 square root of x is equal to 18. You got two choices here. You can go ahead and square both sides, and you'd have to square that 3 on the outside. Or, since 3 goes into 18, an even number, you could just divide both sides by 3. And you get the square root of x is equal to 6. And then you square both sides. And so x is equal to 36. If you had done it the other way, it would look like this. 3 square root of x is equal to 18. And you would square this side and this side. 3 squared is 9. Square root of x squared is x. Equals 18 squared, which is 324. Then you're going to divide both sides by 9. And you get x is equal to 36. You get the same answer either way. You got smaller numbers to deal with than the first way. So that's the way I recommend. Number 8, when you have a radical on both sides, not a really big deal. You've got to square both sides still, right? When you square the left, cancels out and it becomes x plus 3. When you square the right, it becomes 3 plus x. And then you have a normal equation to solve. Subtract your x, and you discover that they cancel, and you get 3 is equal to 3. Remember that when you lose all of your x's, you have to ask yourself, is this true or is this false? This one is true. If it's true, your answer is ARN. If it had been false, your answer would have been no solution. This one is ARN. If they give you the exponent as a fraction, that actually becomes a root, okay? The denominator is your root, so the cubed root of x squared, the numerator stays the exponent. And then plus 3 is equal to 0. Move your 3, so the cubed root of x squared is equal to negative 3. We're going to cube both sides because it was the 3, and it becomes x squared is equal to negative 3 to the third, which is negative 27. So you're going to have to square root both sides to get rid of that x squared. 27 divides by 3 divides by 3. Pair them up. Now remember that was a negative, so x is equal to plus or minus. We have a 3 that we pulled out. We had a negative, so that's an I. Square root of our lonesome 3. This is your answer. Okay, that's the end of the part 1 video. Now you'll want to go to part 2 video to continue your notes.